Hello friends, welcome back to your UPSC. Today we are going to start with last topic of environmental geography, that is ecology and principles of ecology. So let's get started. So, ecology, this term was coined in 1866 by E. Haeckel. Okay? So E. Haeckel was the first person to coin this word ecology. Okay? And ecology, it basically means the study. It is a study of interrelationship between organisms and their surrounding. That is, organisms like flora, fauna, and their habitat. Okay? So, along with organisms and their surrounding, the outer world is also studied. Okay? Or we can simply say that the study of animals and plants in relation to each other and to their habitat is known as ecology. Okay, so the interaction of flora and fauna with each other as well as their habitat is what is studied in ecology. Okay, now ecology is in everyday use is linked with new environmentalism, or we can also say green movement. It must be because most of the ecological thing is in favor of preservation of ecological processes and habitats as well as species. Okay, so in nowadays ecology is basically about green movement, because if you want ecology to be studied, you need flora as well as fauna to exist and their natural habitat also. Okay, so with the interaction of these three only, their interaction is only studied in ecology. Okay, so if any one of them does not exist or fail to exist, then the study won't be ecological study. Okay, now what are the basic principles of ecology? So basic principles of ecology are: first is ecosystem is the fundamental unit of ecological studies. Okay, so for ecology we need a ecosystem. So for what is exactly ecosystem? Ecosystem is any habitat where the organisms interact with each other, they are dependent on each other. Okay, so as we have studied in the definition only, so the study of ecosystem is what is done in ecological studies. Okay, so the fundamental unit of ecological studies would be obviously ecosystem. Now the second principle is the physical and biological processes follow the process of uniformitism. Okay, sorry, uniformitarianism. Okay, so all the physical and biological processes, they follow a uniform process. Okay, so since ages, whatever process that was used or that was going on, okay, like we can also say erosional processes or the process of growth of plants or the process of deposition, any and everything. Okay, including both physical as well as biological processes, they follow a process of uniformitarianism. Okay, so whatever the process was going on in past, that process is as it is followed in present context as well as it would be followed in future. Okay, then we have all the living organisms and elements of physical environment are mutually reactive. Okay, so whatever, see, if we have, like, consider a plant. Okay, okay, and now other things that are present. Okay, so let us consider animal, any sort of animal. Okay, so animal and plants, they are mutually interactive. Okay, see, the plants would give them food. Okay, so the plant will give them food, and the animal, whatever, through respiration, they will exhale out carbon dioxide, which would be used by plant in the uh, process of respiration, okay, in the process of photosynthesis, okay. So all the elements that are present in the physical environment and the living organisms, like we have sunlight, we have water, we have air, these are all the physical elements, okay. And the living organisms like flora and fauna, they are mutually reactive, okay, they are dependent on each other for their existence, okay. So plants require both sunlight as well as water as well as air for their growth, okay. Now organisms also require them, okay. Now the process, now if the anything happens to their food chain, if the food chain is disturbed, then the amount of precipitation or amount of water availability or the quality of air, they are also hindered, okay. So that means they are mutually reactive and they are dependent on each other. Now the next point is ecosystem functions through the input of energy obtained from sun, okay. So the basic energy source for ecosystem to function is sun, okay. Sun is the primary source of energy, okay. Now the energy pattern and flow are governed by two laws of thermodynamics, that is first law and second law of thermodynamics. So the first law, it states that if we have constant mass, okay, so if we have constant mass, then the energy that is, consider this as the area, okay, so here the energy flow will remain unchanged, okay, the amount of energy will remain unchanged, only it will change from one form to another, okay. So this is law of conservation of energy. So energy does not it is neither destroyed nor created, okay. It is only forming, changing its form from one type to another type, okay. So that was the first law of thermodynamics. Next is when the work is done, energy is dissipated, and the work is done when one form of energy is transformed into another form, okay. So we, as we have seen, there are various type of energy reactions, like we have exothermic reaction, then we have endothermic reaction, okay. So in them energy is sometime released and sometime taken, okay. So there is change in energy, amount of energy, and but what happens is when the work is done, the energy is changed from one form to another, like the mechanical energy is changed into heat energy, okay, or the heat energy is changed into mechanical energy. How? See, the sun, the plants, they take sunlight and they use it for photosynthetic processes, okay. Now we have in food chain, they are consumed, these food are consumed by animals, okay, this food is consumed by animals. Now this energy, the solar energy, is transferred into indirectly into consumers, okay. So these animals, they are consumers, so it is transferred into them. So this form of energy, that is solar energy, is changed into calories, okay. That is also one form of energy only, okay. Now whatever work that will be done by this animal, okay, that will change into mechanical energy and then into heat energy, okay, by the process of friction and all. So this is how the process, sorry, the energy, it changes from one form to another, okay. So that is law of conservation of energy. Now next is the circulation of energy in the biospheric system, ecosystem, is unidirectional, okay. So it says that the flow of energy, okay, so this is sun, okay, it gives its energy to plants, okay, then it is to primary consumer, then secondary consumer. Okay, so energy, it the flow of energy is unidirectional. Okay, now secondary consumer won't give energy to primary source of energy, okay, sun, okay, neither it will, the process will be reversed back, okay. So this process is unidirectional. So there is increase in relative loss of energy through respiration and increasing tropic level, okay. So sun actually gives infinite amount of energy. Let us consider plants take 100 calories of energy, kilocalories of energy. Then the primary consumer will take 10 kilocalories, okay, and the other will be utilized in the process of respiration. Now the secondary consumer will only have 1 kilocalories of energy and the another one will have zero point 0.1. So this type we can see that there is loss of 10% of energy at every step, okay, at every tropic level, okay. So hence this process is unidirectional, and at the end the energy level, it is very low when it goes to saprophytes, we can say, and parasitic animals. The next is circulation of matter in the biosphere is accomplished through a cyclic pathway, okay. See, plants, they give us energy, okay, they give us food to primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then secondary consumer, they have parasites, okay, so they consume the food. Then we have saprophytes, which feed on dead and decayed organisms. Now these dead and decayed organisms, they are digested by saprophytes and they are mixed in the soil, okay. Now the soil, the nutrients are here in the soil on which the plant grows, okay. Now this process is cyclic. So the circulation of matter in the biosphere is a cyclic pathway, okay. So matter, that is amount of nutrients, they start from producer, they goes to consumer, primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer, then saprophytes, and then at last we can see that they are in, they are mixed in soil. Now the nutrients from the soil, they are taken back by the plants, okay. So this is a cyclic process. There is geochemical cycle, okay. The material are cycled in such a way that their total mass remains almost constant, okay. So the total mass here, it will remain almost constant, it won't change, okay. Now the seventh principle is there is inbuilt self-regulatory mechanism known as homeostatic mechanism in the natural system, natural ecosystem, okay. So we have inbuilt self-regulatory mechanism known as homeostatic mechanism in the natural ecosystem. Now any change that is brought in the natural ecosystem to counterbalance by this mechanism, an ecosystem and ecological stability, it is reestablished, okay. So if we try to bring about any change in the ecosystem or by using external factors, okay, so to counterbalance it, the natural ecosystem would do something and then it will regain or reestablish its stability or its equilibrium. So the homeostatic mechanism, it is actually a tendency to maintain a stable or relatively constant environment. Okay. So for example, the concentration of various ion in our blood must be kept studied along with pH and the concentration of glucose. So if these values get too high or too low, we can end up getting very sick. Okay. So our body, uh, like for example, we take the example of our body. Okay, so our body, it shows different type of changes to get rid of any sort of foreign invasion or foreign uh, changes that are going on. Okay, because the mechanism of our body is static. Okay, so if any, see, if the iron level, it decreases in our body, okay, in our hemoglobin, then what will happen? We will feel sick. Okay, so this type of uh, things are shown by our body to show us or to uh, tell us that we have certain problems. Okay, and our body, it tries to regain its stability. Okay, now this mechanism in which it is trying to regain its stability is known as the homeostatic mechanism. Okay, now the next point is, if there is any change that is brought about by the external factor, they are so immense that they exceed the resilience of the ecosystem stability. Okay, and adjustment of the ecosystem to such changes, when it becomes difficult, the ecosystem becomes unstable and several environmental problems are created. Okay, so the homeostatic mechanism we have studied. Okay, so whenever we feel sick, that means that is some sort of uh, disturbance is going on in our body, which our body is trying to regulate. Okay, so the fever, it tells us that the body is trying to regain its fitness. Okay, now when the changes, they become too strong, okay, or they exceed the environmental stability, and so to adjust, and it is difficult for ecosystem to adjust, then there is several environmental problems that are created. Okay, so ecosystem unbalance, it creates several environmental problems. Now the next principle is, there is successional development of plants successional development of plants community in habitat of given environmental condition. Okay, and the successional development of vegetation is of two types. Okay, so there is successional development of plant community, and also we can say there is ecological succession. So ecological succession, we can simply say, is a gradual process by which ecosystem changes and develops over time, because nothing remains the same, and the habitat, they constantly change, and they are changing more because of human intervention. Okay, now the succession conditions in environment, they are of two type. Okay, first is primary succession, and second is secondary succession. Okay, so in primary succession, the series of community changes which occur on entirely new habitat which has never been colonized before. Okay, so like we have a purely new habitat. Okay, like newly formed island or newly formed land by drying of lake. Okay, so these type of ecosystem, here we can see primary successional development. Then we have secondary successional development. Here the series of community changes which takes place on previously colonized but disturbed or damaged habitat. Okay, so here what happens is, the habitat was previously colonized, but uh, mis- uh, due to some calamities and mishappenings, okay, the habitat has been damaged or it has been destroyed. Okay, now on this pre-existing or destroyed habitat, the new community is rising. Okay, this type of succession is known as secondary succession. Okay, then the next principle is, man modifies ecosystem through the exploitation of natural resources. Now man is, as we know, is very greedy and materialistic. Okay, so man, to fulfill its need, it exploits natural resources. Okay, now to exploit natural resources, it disturbs the natural habitat and natural ecosystem. Okay, so the ecosystem is modified by man. Okay, and this type of modification is very fast. Okay, because it is through uh, not through natural process. Okay, natural process are mostly slow. Okay, while it is through anthropogenic processes. Okay, so here we have exploitation of natural resources, and by exploitation of natural resources man tries to modify the ecosystem. Then the next point is the successive communities and species are reduced in number and height. Okay, so the successive communities and species, they are reduced in number as well as height. Now why does it happens? It simply happens because there is loss of energy as we go from one tropic level to another. Okay, so when there is loss of energy, the energy that is required, okay, the energy that is required is like energy that is transferred is less. Okay, so the transferred energy, if it is less, then if we have like more amount of organisms to consume small amount of energy, okay, then the animals won't be able to survive, so the number is reduced. Okay, the ultimate goal of ecological studies is to make environment and ecology sustainable. Okay, now the basic, as we have read, the economy nowadays, it is linked with new environmentalism, or we can say green movement. Why? Because for ecological studies we require flora, fauna and habitat or surrounding to exist, and their interaction is only studied in ecology. Okay, so the goal of ecological study is to make environment and ecology sustainable, so that there is, if they are sustainable, there is sustainable growth and development. Then what will happen? They will remain for longer period of time. Okay, so we will be able to better study our ecology. Okay, so that was about ecology and principles of ecosystem. So guys, that was all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's lecture. uh, with this we complete our physical geography. Now from the next lecture we will start with our human geography part. So let's meet in our next lecture. Till then, take care and have a nice day.